Our next guest is Stuart McPherson from the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority. The organization is accepting proposals to access grant money for specific watershed improvement projects in 2023. Stuart, who is eligible to apply? Let's begin with the water well decommissioning grants.
The water well decommissioning grants. I think we're eligible for anyone who's got a well that they're taking out of service is open to apply. It's a first come first served basis, and I think they've got a little bit of money per project that they can put towards it. But people who are looking to take an old well offline, that's who's going to be looking at those grants.
Why is it important to take some of these old wells offline?
Well, if you think about it, like a well is it's a hole that's going down into the water, right? So it's an opportunity that water can come out of the ground, but it also means that things can go back into the ground, especially if they're not being maintained and used. So as much of it has been for people, for who's ever been using this well for sometimes a long, long time to access water, it now acts as a transport mechanism for pollution to get into our groundwater. So we're trying to, if they're not being used, let's clean it up and get rid of it.
And these can be on private property, public property. They can be just about anywhere in the region.
That's exactly it. And the same with our other grant program as well. But yeah, we want to work with anyone who's got these things so we can continue to improve the environment for everybody.
Water well decommissioning grants are capped at $1,000, but $15,000 is the cap for restoration grants.
Well, I mean, that's for one element of it. When we get into our wetland creation, we'll spend up to $15,000 on the excavation, but then we usually want to see some more vegetation around it. So we have an additional $5,000. So if you were to be creating a wetland from scratch, potentially in like some marginal farmland or an old farmer's field, we would be able to pay up to $20,000 towards that.
That's amazing. That can really help offset a lot of the costs.
Absolutely. And the other thing is that when we're working on these types of grants and these types of projects, we have some really strong partners that we've been working with for a number of years. Forest Ontario will contribute money towards tree planting. Ducks Unlimited usually is a pretty good partner for some wetland creation projects that we do. So when we do that, we can add even more money onto the pot overall, and we can reduce the landowner's costs. But the general idea is that we can put some public money onto private land, but there's a public benefit to everyone for having more habitat, having more trees, having cleaner water.
Can you give me an example of a past project that was successful in applying for some of this money?
This program's been under a couple of different names, but it's existed since about 1999, and I'd say well over 1,000 projects have been completed. But just recently, I had a landowner I was working with in Lincoln, and they bought a farm, and they weren't interested in farming, but they are really into nature. And so we've just built this year about 1 3/4 acres wetland on their property, or two actually separate wetland cells, we'll call them. And next year we're looking at doing some planting around it. And they're looking to naturalize the whole property, and everyone's got different reasons for this. So that's a taking the whole property kind of approach, and those are rare. But we often get a lot of farmers who come to us and say, nothing really grows here. It's too wet. I'm trying to grow soybeans or corn or whatever they're trying to grow, and it's just not working well. So it's not worth the time and effort that I'm putting into this. So in those situations, we often come in and might construct a wetland in those areas or plant those with habitat. They've been really successful in that. And it's kind of a win for everyone. The farmer's not spending money on fuel or seed or anything else that they're putting into this anymore. And everybody else gets a bit of a habitat back, which is good.
Stuart, where can interested parties get more information about these grants?
Sure. Well, we've got our website. It's npca.ca/restoration. All the information about the grant program is on there. And if I've got an email address as well, you can always throw in, which is just restoration@npca.ca. And if people have general questions, we're accepting applications till November 21st. So there's still time to have a conversation. And even if we don't have necessarily time to get out and see your property in the next week, what we can also do is drop an application in, and we can still have a conversation afterwards, so we can help figure out what the program is. And that's one of the benefits of this. A lot of people will come and look at this type of program and they say, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. I want to do something. I'm not sure what the right thing is to do. And luckily we have staff here who are experts at this, and they can come and walk your property and they can give you advice. And, we're always trying to be sensitive to what other people are doing. So people want to keep farming in a specific way, or they want to keep something in a specific way just because that's the way they like it. Well, we can often work around that and find something that's beneficial to everybody.
Stuart, we are really happy to be able to spread the word for you. Thanks for joining us.